Welcome to Stoic Habit Builder. This is the place where we turn ancient Stoic wisdom into daily habits that shape a stronger, calmer, and more resilient you. Every week we share powerful lessons, real-life examples, and practical tools to help you take control of your mind, simplify your life, and build the discipline that true freedom requires. So if you're ready to stop being pulled by the noise of the world and start living with clarity and strength, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Every morning, life seems to repeat itself. The alarm goes off. The phone lights up. Emails, deadlines, responsibilities. They all start shouting before you've even had your first sip of coffee. And without realizing it, you're already running, already stressed, already buried under pressure. Does that sound familiar? Here's the truth. Most of us don't start our mornings. We survive them. We roll out of bed, react to the world, and let the day drag us wherever it wants. But what if you could flip that script? What if your morning wasn't just the start of another stressful day, but the foundation of strength, clarity, and peace? This is where Stoicism comes in. 2,000 years ago, Stoicism wasn't just a philosophy, it was a survival tool. It was the mindset that helped emperors lead vast empires, warriors face death without fear, and ordinary men and women endure hardship with courage. Think about Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome. Every morning, despite commanding the greatest empire on earth, he sat down to remind himself of simple truths, that people would test his patience, that life would challenge him, that death could come at any moment. Why? Because he knew one thing: if your mind isn't steady in the morning, the storms of the day will control you. And isn't that true for us today? The world will always demand something from you. Notifications will keep buzzing, people will keep pulling at your time and energy, but you still have a choice. You can wake up reactive, or you can wake up prepared. That's exactly what this video is about. Today, I am going to share with you 12 Stoic morning meditations, powerful practices you can use each day to ground yourself before the chaos begins. These aren't abstract ideas or motivational cliches. They are practical, time-tested tools. Tools that helped leaders stay wise in moments of crisis, helped soldiers steady their hearts before battle, and can help you, yes, you, find calm in the noise of modern life. So let me ask you, how do you usually start your mornings? Do you begin in control, or do you hand your peace away before the day even starts? By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to take those first precious minutes of the day and use them to transform not just your mornings, but your entire life. 1. Awareness of life and gratitude. Let me ask you a question. What if today was your last day on earth? I know, it's not the kind of thought most people want to entertain when they wake up. We'd rather believe tomorrow is guaranteed. But the truth is, tomorrow isn't promised to anyone. And the Stoics reminded themselves of this every single day. Seneca once wrote, "Prepare your mind as if you were at the end of life. Postpone nothing." Why did he say this? Because when you face the reality of death, suddenly life becomes sharper, clearer, more meaningful. I remember a close friend of mine who got into a serious motorcycle accident. Lying in the hospital bed, he told me the only thing he regretted wasn't the pain, or even the crash. It was the argument he had with his wife the night before. His last memory with her could have been anger instead of love. Thankfully, he survived. But that moment changed him forever. He learned what most of us ignore, that time is fragile, and we can't afford to waste it. Think about your own life. How many times have you held back the words, "I love you," "I forgive you," or "thank you," because you assumed there would always be another chance? How many times have you postponed your dreams, waiting for the right time, as if you had an unlimited supply of tomorrows? The Stoics weren't obsessed with death. They were obsessed with living fully. By remembering that today could be the last, they weren't filled with fear. They were filled with urgency, with gratitude, with purpose. Here's a simple practice you can try. Every morning, take just 30 seconds. Ask yourself, if today were my last, what would I do differently? Who would I reach out to? What really matters? Write down one action, even something small, A phone call, a kind word, a step toward your dream, and then do it. This is how you transform your mornings. Not by rushing into the day unconsciously, but by waking up to the precious reality of life. Because when you live as if time is short, you finally start living the way life was meant to be lived. Deeply, gratefully, and without regret. Do need gratitude for what you already have. Let me ask you something. When you wake up in the morning, what's the first thought that crosses your mind? For many of us, it's not gratitude, it's comparison. We grab our phones, scroll through social media, and see someone with a bigger house, a nicer car, a better job, or what looks like a happier life. And suddenly, before we've even started our day, we already feel like we're missing something. But here's the truth the Stoics understood. Gratitude is not some soft, feel-good idea. It's a survival skill. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not hanker after what you lack. Instead, be grateful for what you already possess." Those aren't just poetic words. They're a roadmap to peace of mind. I'll tell you a story. Daniel was a mechanic I once knew. Hard-working, blue-collar, the kind of man who rarely complained. Then one day, he was in a terrible accident. For weeks, he couldn't walk, couldn't work, couldn't even pour himself a cup of coffee. But when he finally recovered enough to stand on his own 2 feet again, he told me something that stuck with me. He said, "You know what happiness is? It's being able to go to work, grease under my fingernails, and a hot cup of coffee in the morning. That's all I need." Think about that. The very things we overlook every day, our health, our work, the people we love, these are treasures someone else is desperately praying for. The fact that you can breathe, walk, or even hear these words right now is already a gift. The problem is, our minds are wired to focus on what's missing. That's why gratitude has to be a practice, not a passing thought. What if every morning, instead of grabbing your phone, you grabbed a notebook and wrote down 3 things you already have that make life worth living? It could be as simple as, "I woke up today. I have a roof over my head. I get to see my family." Here's the magic. When you start your day with gratitude, you stop chasing what you don't have and start appreciating the abundance already around you. That shift doesn't just change your morning, it changes your entire life, because gratitude transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary blessings. 3. Living simply is freedom. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly free? Not the kind of freedom that comes from a vacation or a weekend escape, but the kind of freedom where your mind is light, your heart is unburdened, and you feel completely at peace. The Stoics believed that true freedom doesn't come from owning more. It comes from needing less. Simplicity is not about deprivation. It's about clarity. It's about choosing what truly matters and letting go of everything that weighs you down. Seneca once wrote, "A great man uses earthenware as if it were silver." What did he mean by that? He meant that greatness isn't about surrounding yourself with luxury. It's about valuing what you already have, no matter how simple it may seem. A cup doesn't need to be made of gold to quench your thirst. A home doesn't need to be a mansion to shelter your family. Yet in our world today, we're constantly told that happiness comes from more. More money, more stuff, more recognition. But have you noticed? The more you own, the more you have to maintain. The more you chase, the more restless you become. I remember meeting a man who once told me, "I didn't realize how heavy my life was until I started letting things go." He had spent years working endless hours to buy bigger cars, a bigger house, and more gadgets. But the stress nearly broke him. When he finally simplified, downsizing his home, cutting unnecessary expenses, and focusing on time with his kids, he said it was like breathing fresh air for the first time in years. That's what simplicity does. It doesn't strip away your joy, it gives it back to you. So ask yourself, what's cluttering your life right now? Not just the physical stuff in your closet or garage, but the commitments, the distractions, the toxic relationships that drain you. What would happen if you let go of just one of those weights? Simplicity is freedom. It is the power to stop running in circles and start walking a straight path toward what matters most. And when you wake up each morning choosing less noise, less clutter, and less need, you'll find yourself with more peace, more focus, and more life. 4. Control what you can control. Have you ever noticed how often we lose our peace over things we can't control? Maybe you've seen it. A man at the grocery store furious because the credit card machine stopped working. He shouts, he complains, his blood pressure rises. And for what? His anger won't fix the machine. All he did was hand over his peace of mind to something completely outside his control. The Stoics taught us that one of life's greatest powers is learning to separate what we can control from what we cannot. Because when we confuse the two, we suffer. I remember hearing about a man named Jack, a taxi driver. One day, he had a passenger who refused to pay, costing him nearly $200. For many of us, that would ruin the whole night. We'd go home bitter, angry, maybe even yell at our family. But Jack chose differently. Instead of stewing in frustration, he went home, picked up some takeout, and had dinner with his daughter. He told himself, "I lost $200, but I'm not going to lose tonight with my little girl." That's wisdom. That's control. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Think about that. Freedom is a T about controlling everything. It S about not being controlled by what you can T. How many times have you let traffic, weather, or another person's mood decide the kind of day you're going to have? Isn't that like giving away the steering wheel of your life to someone else? Here's the truth. You can't control if the storm comes, but you can control whether you carry an umbrella. You can't control the economy, but you can control how you spend, how you save, and how you adapt. You can't control every curve life throws at you, but you can control your mindset, your actions, and your attitude. And that changes everything. So let me ask you, what is something in your life right now that has been stealing your peace? And what would happen if, just for today, you stopped fighting it and chose instead to focus on what you can control? Because the moment you do, you take back your freedom. And freedom, my friends, is priceless. Don't waste time on other people's opinions. How many times have you let someone's casual remark ruin your whole day? Maybe a coworker says, "That shirt doesn't look good on you," and suddenly, instead of focusing on your work, you replay that comment in your head over and over again. One careless opinion steals your peace, your energy, and sometimes even your confidence. Marcus Aurelius once observed something powerful. We all love ourselves more than other people, yet we care more about their opinions than our own. Think about that. Why do we hand over the keys to our happiness to people who may not even think about us 5 minutes later? I remember a close friend of mine who wanted to start a YouTube channel. He had ideas, passion, even the equipment ready. But for 2 whole years, he held back. Why? Because he was terrified of what people might say. What if they laugh at me? What if I'm not good enough? He wasted years of creativity, growth, and opportunity, all because of opinions that didn't even exist yet. And here's the irony. When he finally uploaded his first video, nobody said the cruel things he feared. In fact, people encouraged him. All that time, he had been a prisoner of his own imagination. The truth is, no matter what you do in life, people will always have opinions. If you succeed, some will cheer, others will criticize. If you fail, some will laugh, others will support you. But here's the key. Their opinions don't define your worth. Your actions do. So let me ask you, whose voice is louder in your life right now? The voice inside you or the opinions outside you? Imagine what you could create, what you could achieve, if you stopped worrying about being judged and started focusing on what truly matters to you. The Stoics remind us that our time is short, and every moment spent worrying about what others think is a moment stolen from living fully. Don't let someone else's words write the story of your life, because at the end of the day, the only opinion you have to live with is your own. 6. Not everything deserves a reaction. Have you ever noticed how quickly we give away control of our emotions? Someone cuts you off in traffic, a stranger makes a rude comment, or your coworker says something careless, and instantly, anger flares up. But here's the truth. It's not their words or actions that control you. It's your reaction. Epictetus once said, "If someone can provoke you, it's because you've given them the keys to your mind." Think about that for a moment. Every time you explode in anger, you've handed over your peace, your energy, and your power to someone else, like giving them the remote control to your emotions. Imagine yourself as a TV. Other people can press the buttons, but the screen only lights up if you allow it. You are the one who decides whether to switch on frustration or to stay calm. Yet most of us live as if anyone can grab that remote and push whatever button they like. So how do we take back control? Here's a simple Stoic practice you can try: the 5-1 countdown technique. The next time you feel anger rising, pause. Silently count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In those 5 seconds, you've created space between the trigger and your response. And in that space, you gain the power to choose. Do I lash out or do I hold steady? I've used this myself. Once, a colleague unfairly criticized my work in front of others. My first impulse was to snap back, but I paused, counted down, and in that silence, I realized something. Their words said more about them than about me. By choosing not to react, I walked away with my dignity intact, and later even earned respect for staying calm under fire. Here's the reality: not everything deserves your energy. Anger wastes time, resentment steals focus, and every overreaction builds a prison you lock yourself inside. True freedom is when you stop letting others dictate how you feel. So the next time someone tries to push your buttons, ask yourself, am I giving them the remote, or am I keeping it in my hands? The answer to that question determines whether you live like a puppet or like a master of your own mind. 7. Living in the present. Have you ever noticed how much of our life slips away because we were either stuck in the past or worried about the future? We replay old mistakes or we run endless scenarios of what might happen tomorrow. Meanwhile, the only thing that truly belongs to us, the present moment, slips through our fingers. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Time is a river, a violent current of events, rushing on, and as soon as a thing has appeared, it is carried away and another comes in its place. If you don't clear away the clouds in your mind, that time is lost forever." Think about that. Every second you spend lost in regret or fear is a second you'll never get back. Life isn't lived yesterday, and it isn't promised tomorrow. It is only lived now. I remember seeing a man at a red light once. Instead of impatiently honking or scrolling on his phone, he simply closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and smiled. In the middle of traffic, in the chaos of the city, he created peace for himself. That moment struck me. He wasn't rushing toward the next thing or drowning in worries. He was simply being. The Stoics remind us that living in the present is not some abstract idea. It's survival, it's clarity, it's freedom. Because when you're fully present, you notice things you usually ignore. The warmth of your morning coffee, the sound of your child's laughter, even the rhythm of your own breath. But how often do we miss these gifts because our minds are somewhere else? Ask yourself, when was the last time you truly tasted your meal instead of eating in a rush? When was the last time you listened to a friend without already preparing your reply in your head? Here's a practice. Several times a day, stop whatever you're doing and take 3 deep breaths. Let your mind settle into this moment. Notice what's around you. Remind yourself this is life. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Now. If you can master this, you'll discover a hidden truth. Joy doesn't wait for some future event. It's not on the horizon. It's right here, in the present moment, waiting for you to see it. See challenges as mental training. Have you noticed how the more rushed you are, the more problems seem to appear? You spill your coffee right before leaving the house, your computer freezes during an important meeting, or traffic slows to a crawl when you're already late. It almost feels like the universe is testing your patience on purpose. But what if those moments aren't obstacles at all? What if they're opportunities, training grounds for your mind? The Stoics believed that every difficulty we face is a form of mental exercise. Just as the body grows stronger by lifting weights, the mind grows stronger by lifting burdens. Epictetus said it clearly. The greater the difficulty, the greater the glory in overcoming it. Take Kevin, a taxi driver I once met. He told me that whenever he picked up a rude or impatient passenger, he used to get angry and let it ruin his entire day. But one day, he asked himself a different question. What is this moment training me for? Suddenly, the difficult passenger wasn't just a problem. He was a teacher. Kevin began to see each stressful encounter as a chance to build patience, self-control, and resilience. Over time, he became calmer, happier, and even more successful in his work. Think about that. What if every challenge in your life right now is secretly preparing you for something greater? The traffic jam that forces you to slow down might be training your patience. The unexpected setback at work might be sharpening your problem-solving skills. Even personal loss or failure can shape your character in ways comfort never could. Here's the perspective shift. Life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. Every tough moment is a hidden workout for the soul. And just like in the gym, the heavier the weight, the stronger you become if you keep lifting. So, the next time you feel pressure rising, ask yourself, what is this moment training me to become? If you can hold on to that question, you will realize that challenges aren't roadblocks. They were stepping stones to the person you meant to be. 9. Pain is temporary. Growth is forever. We all know what pain feels like. Maybe it's the sting of betrayal, the frustration of failure, or the grief of losing something we worked so hard for. In those moments, pain feels permanent, like it will never end. But here's the truth. Pain is temporary. What lasts forever is who you become because of it. Epictetus once said, "Difficulties show what men are. Hardship strips away the surface and reveals your true character." Anyone can smile when life is easy, but when life gets hard, when you're tested, that's when your real strength is revealed. Take the story of Lucas. He trusted the wrong friend and ended up losing a large amount of money. At first, he felt broken, ashamed, angry, defeated. But instead of letting that failure define him, Lucas chose to learn from it. He studied harder, rebuilt his confidence, and used that painful experience as fuel to start a new business. Today, not only is he more successful than before, but he's also wiser, more resilient, and less naive. His pain was temporary, but the growth it produced will last for the rest of his life. Think about your own struggles. Maybe you're going through a financial setback, a broken relationship, or a health challenge. In the middle of it, the weight feels unbearable. But look back at your past. How many times did you think, "I'll never get through this," and yet you did? And not only did you survive, you came out stronger, sharper, more prepared for the future. The Stoics teach us to reframe suffering. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What is this shaping me into?" Pain refines you. Struggle strengthens you. And once the storm passes, you're left with something far greater than comfort. You're left with growth. So remember this, pain is not your enemy, it is your teacher. It may visit you for a season, but it will not stay forever. Growth, however, that stays with you for a lifetime. The next time you're in the middle of hardship, remind yourself, this too shall pass, but who I become through this that will remain forever. 10. Discipline creates freedom. When most people hear the word freedom, they think it means doing whatever you want, whenever you want. But here is the paradox. Living without discipline doesn't lead to freedom. It leads to chains. Not chains put on you by others, but chains created by your own habits, your impulses, and your lack of control. Think about it. If you do whatever you feel like every day, what happens? You eat junk food because it's easy. You skip exercise because you're tired. You procrastinate on that project because you don't feel motivated. In the moment, it feels like freedom. But over time, those choices pile up, and suddenly, you're trapped. Trapped by poor health, by wasted time, by regret. That isn't freedom, that's slavery to your own weaknesses. The Stoics understood this deeply. They taught that true freedom comes only through self-mastery. There's a powerful line that says, "No man is free who is not a master of himself." If you don't govern yourself, the world, or worse, your impulses, will govern you. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're exhausted after a long day. The last thing you want to do is pick up that book you promised yourself you'd read. But you push through and read just 2 pages. It may seem small, even insignificant. But do you know what's really happening in that moment? You're sending yourself a message. I keep my word to myself, and that simple act builds trust in your own character. Over time, that trust turns into confidence, and that confidence creates true freedom, the freedom to live on your own terms. Think of Olympic athletes, writers, or entrepreneurs you admire. Do you think they rely on motivation every day? No. They rely on discipline. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Motivation may spark you, but discipline keeps the fire burning. So ask yourself, do you want short-term comfort or long-term freedom? Every disciplined choice you make, waking up early, exercising, learning, working on your goals, is like laying a brick in the foundation of your freedom. Remember this. Discipline is not a cage. Discipline is the key. And when you master yourself, no one, not fear, not failure, not even your own bad habits, can control you again. 11. Be an example, not just a speaker. We live in a world full of talk. Everyone has advice, everyone has opinions. Social media is crowded with people telling you what's right, what's wrong, and how you should live. But here's the truth. Words are cheap. Actions are priceless. Imagine this. A man walking down the street notices a little girl drop her wallet. No cameras, no applause, no spotlight. He quietly picks it up, returns it to her, and walks away without saying a word. That small act of honesty will teach the girl more about integrity than 1,000 lectures could. This is exactly what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, "Don't argue about what a good man should be. Be one." The Stoics believed character isn't shown in speeches, it's shown in behavior. People may listen to what you say, but they will remember what you do. Think about the people who inspire you most. Is it because they had perfect words, or is it because their lives embodied their values? A parent who works hard without complaining, a friend who shows up when you need them, a leader who keeps their promises. These are the true teachers. And here is a question worth asking yourself. What message are your actions sending to the people around you? To your children, your colleagues, your friends? Are you modeling patience, discipline, courage, or just talking about them? I've learned something powerful. Living your values doesn't require grand gestures. It's in the little things, choosing honesty when it's easier to lie, keeping your word when it costs you comfort, helping someone when no one is watching. These moments shape your character, and they create ripples that inspire others more than any motivational speech ever could. So maybe it's time to stop worrying about convincing others with words and start focusing on leading with action. Because people don't follow what you say, they follow who you are. Remember this, the most powerful influence you'll ever have is not through your voice, but through your example. 12. Don't wait for perfection. How many times have you delayed something important because you were waiting for the right moment? Maybe you told yourself, I'll start when I have more money. I'll try when I'm fully ready. I'll take action when things are perfect. But here's the truth. That day never comes. Perfection is a trap. It's the ego's way of keeping you safe, comfortable, and stuck. Let me give you an example. Thomas, an aspiring creator, spent 6 months preparing for his big project. He planned, researched, bought expensive equipment, and kept waiting for everything to align. But guess what? The video that finally made him go viral wasn't to the one he polished for half a year. It was a simple clip he shot on his phone's front camera in a moment of raw honesty. People didn't care about perfect lighting or flawless editing. They cared about the authenticity. That's the lesson. Perfection doesn't inspire people, progress does. Seneca once said, "While we wait for life, life passes us by." If you keep waiting for conditions to be perfect, your dreams will slip through your fingers. So what's the solution? Start small. Write just 2 sentences today. Read for only 2 minutes. Record a short draft instead of planning for months. Tiny steps matter because action creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence. Think about it. Which has more impact? A perfect plan sitting in your notebook or an imperfect attempt that actually moves you forward? The Stoics would tell you, perfection is not the goal. Growth is. Discipline is. Consistency is. Here's a simple rule I live by. The 80% principle. If something feels 80% ready, that's enough. Release it, test it, learn from it, because you will gain more from one real attempt than from 100 perfect ideas sitting in your head. So stop waiting for the perfect time, the perfect conditions, or the perfect version of yourself. That moment doesn't exist. What does exist is right now, and the longer you delay, the more life passes you by. Remember this, progress beats perfection, every single time. And now let's bring everything together. The 12 morning reflections we've walked through are not just nice habits. They're a roadmap to a stronger, calmer, and more purposeful life. They wake up your body, sharpen your mind, and set your spirit on the right path before the chaos of the day even begins. Imagine stepping into each morning not rushed, not reactive, but with clarity, energy, and peace. This is the heart of Stoicism. You don't control the world, but you always control how you respond to it. You can't stop life's storms, but you can choose whether you'll be tossed around like a leaf or stand steady like a tree with deep roots. That choice begins with your mind and your mornings. Live simply, be grateful, stay disciplined, be consistent, and most importantly, don't measure progress in giant leaps. Measure it in steady steps taken daily. That's how real strength is built. That's how freedom is earned. So tomorrow morning, when you open your eyes, don't just rush into the noise of the world. Pause, breathe, reflect. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? And then, live like someone you would admire, someone you would respect. Because every sunrise is another chance to train your mind, to shape your character, and to live in alignment with the best version of yourself. If you carry just one message with you from this video, let it be this. Control yourself, not the world. Because when you master your inner world, the outer world can no longer break you. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these morning practices spoke to you the most? Which one will you start tomorrow? Share it in the comments. I'd love to know. And if this video gave you something valuable, then don't keep it to yourself. Like it, share it with a friend who might need it, and hit that subscribe button so we can keep walking this Stoic journey together. Because the more we grow, the more we build not just a community, but a movement of people who live with strength, clarity, and purpose. Every morning is a new beginning. Don't waste it. Live it with intention. Remember, the world doesn't shape you, your choices do.